Okay, so we may start, yeah? So, Alexandra, hello from NABA Milan. Thank you for joining us today, and thank you for sharing your insights into Ukrainian context and art history, and for adding additional points of view to discussion of about conceptualism and conceptual art. I will start with a short introduction of you, and then you may continue. Alexandra Tryanova is an independent curator and researcher, and member of the Cultural Commons Quest office at the Antwerp Research Institute for the Arts, Antwerp University. She graduated from the Kask Curatorial Studies course in 2022 and holds MA in Cultural Studies and Law. In her work, Alexandra focuses on artistic practices connected with recreation, gender, collective memory, and Eastern European avant-gardes. Recent projects and exhibitions: I'm Not Here to Be Stronger Than You, Mimosa House, London, 2023. The exhibit just recently was opened, and I highly recommend to all of us check internet and see its documentation. And another exhibit, Just Like Arcadia, Kunsthalle Extra City, Antwerp, Belgium, 2022. Recent publications: Passivity, Between Resignation and Pacifism, co-edited with Pascal Gielen, 2023, and I hope that we will manage a presentation of the book here at NABA, perhaps next fall. Previously, Alexandra held the position of curator at the Museum of Odesa Modern Art and PinchukArtCentre, Kyiv. Since 2017, she runs an independent non-production residency, Kunsthalle Lustdorf, based on temporary independent artistic and curatorial associations for open practices and technologies in the area of the Green Value in the suburbs of Odesa. Lives and works in Antwerp, Belgium. So, Alexandra, please, I give you the floor.
Arseny, thank you so much for this introduction and for making this small also announcements of my current projects. And dear participants, I'm very glad to be today with you, like virtually, but yeah, partly bridging Belgium and Italy, and yeah, and far Odessa. So yes, today I'm happy to be invited to meet you to talk about conceptual art from Odessa, Ukraine. Odessa is my hometown also, and I was lucky to know personally many artists of this circle, and to be grown up in this beautiful port city. As you may know, Odessa is a port city on a shore of the Black Sea, and this place in beginning of 80s appeared to be one of the core influencers on development of contemporary art in Ukraine. So now I will share my screen and start with a presentation to see some photos, to see some images, and to talk more like closer to the subject. Just a second, I'll share my screen. Off. Yes. Yes. Up. Do you see it? Yeah, like the first page only, or the whole screen?
Only the photo.
Great, super.
But maybe the whole screen, but it's okay.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah.
But if you'd like, we may switch to full screen mode.
Like that, just to keep it comfortable for you. Yeah, I decided to start with this lovely and and quite emotional group portrait of some of participants of this circle of like practitioners of conceptual approach in Odessa. Of course, when I would love to start with one, but very important remark that when we are talking about this phenomenon of Odessa, we cannot call it directly like conceptualism, and it's like super problematic in terms how to call it like conceptual art or conceptualism, because as you know after your experiences, of course, and recent talks with Arseny, conceptual practices that known to us from the West are much stricter in its mood and in its techniques. What was going on there? In the early beginning of 80s, a group of young people connected with a common interest to the literature, to knowledge sharing in a dimension of contemporary culture, found each other around the town as just as friends, as neighbors, as somebody who's also curious, and it would be great to spend more time together. So this dimension of a friendship is really important to describe the mood and the attitude of their practices, individual but also collective. If to count like from left to right, we have here in this photo Leonid Wojciechov, we have Igor Chatskin, Yuri Leiderman, Ludmila Skripkina and Oleg Perez. Skripkina and Perez, they were a couple and also practiced together. So we have a number of such like duets also inside the participants of this circle, who are not only friends but even closer people like Martinchiki. If to talk about like their like shared interests, what is important to mention, and what is like the very important according to like to the context of the time and the place, is that the availability of information about processes in contemporary art in the like internationally were not that reachable when you're like a person in your 20s, student in Odessa, in such a periphery of periphery, as somebody describes these places, because behind the iron curtain, the turnover of the information was extremely challenging. But Odessa it's even not a capital like big one. It's not a Moscow. It's not a center. It's somewhere in the south. It's somewhere on the shore of the sea. Yes, it's a port, but like full picture of contemporary art and cultural life in neighboring Western countries. All this was not that understandable for local artists, and the information about these like general processes they received like in parts, like with smaller like one article here, one copy of a magazine there they get. And this matter of like connecting through shared knowledge, it was a very important part. Yes, if we talk about how these people unite, and what did they share in discussion, and what did they have to discuss. Another interesting, another important participant of this circle is artist Sergei Anufriev, and I mention his figure now because to show you also this availability of information. Yeah, Anufriev, he also was from Odessa, of course, and he was from from quite a Bohemian family. So his mother was in a contact with artists from Moscow, also from conceptual circles partly. And Sergei was lucky, being teenager, to be introduced to this artist in far center, to live to share a flat with one of them, and to become not even that visible, but to see things that the processes that are going on in Moscow. What we have to underline here also is that you may know that at that time, at the beginning, mid of 80s, the attention of outer world, the attention of Western professionals to art processes in the capital of USSR was existed, at least, but hardly attention was ever focused on such places as Odessa, especially at that time when this city is not a center for embassies, not center for international a political presentation or administrative things. So this circle in Odessa was quite abandoned and far. But Anufriev, for example, brought each time he went to Moscow and back to Odessa many magazines and copies of some reproduction, and his engine for sharing information was very important. Another thing that really makes it difference if we think about practices from conceptual practices from Moscow and from Odessa, Ukraine, it's a type of artistic production. I mean, how, in which circumstances, the creative idea or an object, a work appears. When we talk about Moscow, it would be more about studios and flats, but in Odessa the situation was a bit specific, and in some sense very poetical. Why so? I mean this because these artists in Odessa, they were quite young at the time, and not many of them had any independent space. I mean, flat or a big room or something that can become a place for flat exhibition, apartment exhibition, or just get together. And they practiced a lot during collective walks, during random wandering around the city. And Odessa is a beautiful classic city. All the streets over there going not in a round shape from the center to the far diameter, but it's built with a parallel and with a parallel streets that always goes to the side of a sea, and beach, like beach part, is very present in the topography of the city. So this idea of beach as like endless and independent line that divides like two opposite spheres, like land and water. Yeah, this independent stripe that goes by the coast till other states, like in case of Odessa till Romania. That was very like inspiring surrounding for this circle, as as it was liberating but semi-public, maybe very lonely, maybe very crowded. So yes, this was like a type of a time spending that they enjoyed and that influenced on them. I would say that yes, also the of course the literature is a thing that united them, and this like sharing of text. Here I just brought a couple of very atmospheric photos that we have some of representatives of this circle just lying in a beach and pretending to make a type of, I don't know, very like senseless spectacle around classical subjects. So they really enjoyed being together and and having fun together. And I guess that when we speak about Odessa, we are always speak about history of personal relations. Here, I would like to start with their common actions. What these artists did did in a group. These groups also was always quite flexible in a number of participants and who took part. So it was quite a free. I wouldn't say that they had a like strict agenda or something like that, or exact plan for their like next action. So this often was like a bit pre-planned, but still improvisation. Here, these two photos, this documentation is connected to, is a part of the work, performative work, group performative work. They will answer us for this. It was created in 1984 after the huge hurricane in Odessa, when many trees were like fallen down and the electricity was broken. So that was like terrible night. And the day after, artists decided to make such a like projection between the forces of nature, this like impossibly strong hurricane, and the statement that could be potentially addressed to the power. This direct title of the work plays like double role in this sense. And what they did practically in a group, they were they went through the city trying to like pretend that they are like trying to deal with afterwards of the broken partly broken infrastructure around the city. And and put in this slogan, that is quite ambivalent. You may imagine that in the beginning of 80s in Soviet state, it's quite risky to put such slogans that may blame authorities and may show that like young people are ready to protect themselves or to ask for a response, maybe like potentially even with a certain like also violence. So this phrase was playful, but simultaneously permitted this political dimension. And for some of participants of the group, later it became an issue with some administrative and police structures, and they had to explain themselves. Another work also made in a group is a beautiful group exhibition action titled Kinfolk. So this exhibition also calls to explain a bit of context of time and place, because in like late 70s, beginning of 80s in Odessa, the new huge wave of emigration was very present, and usually, like in most cases, it was immigration connected with the Jewish families and their like reunition, immigration to different places, not only like Israel, but also US. Also, it was a long way, and someone like stuck in the middle in Europe for months. So many people in the city had this like story of immigration of their like close people. And in this, in the idea of this exhibition was a creation of the these collages, yeah, based on real photos of family members of the artists. And when the visitors came to see this apartment exhibition, like one by one, one guide from the like artist circle took a lead in making a tour and presented all these like panels of collages of their personal photos as an endless story of family relations and who lives where, and many information, very personal and very like a tone of words on somebody's story just fall on your head. You know, it's a bit like in our situation now. So when all these like tours were happening, yeah, these small individual tours. Of course, visitors were a bit affected with such a presentation, and for that time in Odessa, like the approach of such performative exhibition and also of individual experience was not at all like popular thing, and I guess it's very interesting case, very like innovative for that time. And also like this exhibition Kinfolk, it was presented at the apartment of Sergei Onofriev, whom we already mentioned today, and yes, this also shows that any presence or opportunity to use the flat like during like parents went for holidays, it was like highly valuable thing for this type for their like economical and and living conditions, etc. And that's fantastic to think how people were active in using things and simple opportunities very freely. So for me, it's very like liberating to think about that. What next I wanted to show you? It's another great thing. This action double quick, like in 2 ticks. It's also if we talk about Odesa conceptual art, the playfulness with the language and the like research in language was one of the like main tasks and points of interest for them. So we often meet like quite a tough problems in translation, and to call this action directly, it will be like in no time, in double quick, like to make something very fast. So what they did here, the place is Palais Royal near the Odesa Opera House, and in 80s it was a place where like people, local artists sell their their works over there, and sometimes it was something very crafty, so different a bit arty things you could buy there in time. In this action, artists tended to clear up the place and to wash away this like commercialization of art. What's interesting also about that for some of representatives of Odesa conceptual group, like for Leonid Wojciechov, work with art object was not only a part of his like creative practice, but also a part of the business, in the mean of that they tried to gain some money with selling and buying antique stuff on a like shady market at that time. So we see how like living conditions brought inspiration to like deeper discussion of commercialization of art, like object itself, and meaning of group action, like possibility to interact with a larger audience, because it was just a busy day at this very central square. And for like local people of that time, this type of activity of others in the public space was hardly readable as an art itself. So the matter like of interest and also of like suspicion, is very very present here, and could be read it even like through the faces on documentation. Going back to the figure of Leonid Wojciechov, one of the most interesting and very present participant of this circle. His research in language was also often connected with body practices and like body performativity. Like here, this work is a line of 8 photos that I'm sorry, divided into just to keep it visible on the screen. We see that here the artist with his body performs the structure of the sentence, where the direct speech part is present, like grammatically, but making this with the body, I guess it's something that is also markable for what they did in Odesa, like uniting language research, with some performative but simple gestures. Here's another work that goes in line with this my idea. the short is closer. This short is closer to the body. Here we also have this language play because in Russian we have this saying about being selfish and staying with the things that are like simpler, but definitely belongs to you. That people say that this short is closer to the body. I mean that it's something that really belongs to me surely. And here Leonid also like open up this with with this like playfulness between the object, the body, the text, and creating only one images of the from that. And again, we see that means are very modest. Another important action that was created by Lederman and Chatsky, it's called this series, The Methods of Killing with a Flag. And we had this. They organized a sort of performative action in a couple of scenes, performing this anecdotal at that time idea with opportunities how you can kill or damage others' body with a flag, and creating this. As artist explained later, yes, Lederman said afterwards, like in after like decades after this performance happened, that the like direct political agenda was not in their mind. It was more like experimental thing, and it was also the absurdistic vocabulary was used here. But I guess nowadays, like our vision of this gesture may really differ and go to illustrate some like our even political shared experience. And here is another work that I also would like to underline. This is a work by Yuri Lederman, and it's a one photo thing. Yeah, we have this figure of a young man standing and staring on a line of horizon, and we have these very important relations between the image and the like a title here. If to face the south, the Moscow will be far behind. When we apply these logics in Odessa, when we apply this logic to relations between artists from Odessa and from Moscow, this work seems to be a very like unprecedented thing for that time. Keeping it very poetical, and keeping like it's like a highly individualistic gesture. We see here like the example of how Lederman proposes to underlines the certain opposition, directs his sight not to the Moscow, the center, yes, but to the south, to the horizon, to the far seas. And this work also is quite like standing out from the usual like general vision on Odessa conceptual art, because it shows a high level of political engagement, and this is not that often for this phenomenon in whole. These relations that was between the artists from Odessa and from Moscow, they were really very nice and based on peer attitude, and many of them became like really close friends. Other were like colleagues, but yeah, did exhibitions together, like made things together. This like it's very like challenging and not really applicable to think about these two phenomenons like Odessa conceptual art and one in Moscow as relations of dependence and certain like power relations, because of course they were like absolutely different. Yeah, somebody was elder, somebody was like in their like very early 20s. Yeah, somebody was like born in and raised like in a better access to the information. Someone had different experiences, but yeah, somehow their cooperation was an example of friendship, and to tie such a direct map that like idea that it was like dependable situation, it's quite tough, because I guess that like dimension of human relations is much more important than to rewrite like the art history according to needed narratives. But simultaneously, yes, we have this maybe in some sense visionary work. Yeah, maybe in some sense like of course like describing his personal attitude of Lederman to the current situation, because all the time, like all these like early years, all this beginning of 80s, artists from Odessa traveled to Moscow, and traveled quite often, like starting from Anufriev. Yeah, they made this one by one. They were like somehow introduced, and they also passed their works from Odessa to show to their colleagues in Moscow. So you see, it's quite a like special and close relations, where such a like political binaries are not that well applied. Yes, yes, and what else I would like to mention here, that after these travelings, most of the artists from Odessa moved to Moscow, moved to local squads, and expecting this time to be productive in a new dimension for them, but in the same time they lost this beauty of collective production and of like making things together in a like in a without agenda, without exact place, this beauty of being together on a beach, it was definitely lost, and somehow some of the representatives of this circle succeeded in building a career. Someone like decided to stop with arts, and destinies after they like separated, destinies of these artists were quite different. Also, I wanted to show you some works of group Peppers with we saw them on the first portrait. Beautiful works on a like with a very strange and like modest materials like plywood, like some tissue, and these unevident relations of illustration, not illustration, between the text and how the like imagery of the work is very tactile and in my opinion very interesting in their works together with
Alexandra, sorry, just a second, because Cole is asking about the words. That the word is in the title, yeah? That's we love, yeah? In the previous.
Yeah. We love. It's over here, like in blue, in the very center. And the next one is also with a beer, as we are waiting.
Yeah, we are waiting.
And this handkerchief, yeah, it's called We Wait, yeah, with there's also some like the imagery from Soviet like children books, but they challenge like papers. They really challenge the materiality here. It's very, very like interesting to see this also like live, very interesting objects. Another, they are like big series of Oleg Petrenko and Lyudmila Skripkina was the series of popular science art, so-called. So what they did, they took like daily objects of like kitchenware, like different things, and practically like work like covered them with these like scientific like tables. So like somehow this their like method, yeah, this their like this decision to challenge themselves with this type of production. It's still very in discussion how they like which exactly turn did they took, but something very moving is present here, especially when you're like if you're like have an experience of living like in Soviet surrounding with its special like shady visuality, yeah, and connecting this bureaucratic scientific language and like routine. They did quite an interesting research, and later these works are also were shown in US at Feldman's gallery. So yeah, the like paper groups had really nice chances to get a better recognition, but also when we talk about these people, these artists, they were hardly ready to build a career in the West or knew how the like art process, market relations in the art world really work, and some of these like bright like promising moments as the exhibition of papers in US, they just ended with a nothing. So you see here also this like tables like goes like through the like mushroom, you know, something very challenging they did with the objects. And uniting this scientific vocabulary and and like creepy routine. But their art always like I try to show you now like different like examples like what they did and to show the materiality of this phenomenon a bit. So you see we have quite a like modest means. We have like vocabulary of like daily objects and very quite zero photography. So photography as a very practical documentation. Another thing that I would like to illustrate here is the idea of like album conversation and album type of narration, which is also very shared with the Moscow colleagues. And here I would like to show like one of the album series of Sergei Anufriyev from early 80s, from 83, I guess. In this series, it's very lovely how it reads their like dreamy, like this passion to some like classical also narratives connected with antiquity, with some ancient times, with some narratives connected with the Mediterranean, because this type of poetics was simultaneously available as information in their at that time at this place, because you can to read about beauty of Crete, you can go actually to the library, even like in later USSR, and find all the information and see beautiful things. But yes, this also, I guess, their even sometimes encyclopedic knowledge is really dependent on what was available for understanding that time. Yes, we have this principle of album narration. The pages are connected in quite tricky way, not directly with the text, not directly with the imagery, but with some like shades and nuances of images. But yes, in Anufriyev's this graphic work, it's always something very delicate. It's on age of like childish drawings. It's in the same time very free and goes in a like very simple but very touchy details, and antique subjects are quite present here also. Another great female representative of the circle is Larissa Rizun. Larissa Rizun Zvezdychotova. They were married with one of like Moscow artists, and here we have like another example of closeness, of circles. Yes, it's like such a couple of objects. These fiery eyes and flaming lips created from like small wooden sticks. So it's something that can go on fire, very like also tender, but still strict work. And another great art alliance of this group is Martinchiki. It's they also met in Odessa, and here I show you some of their like later paintings created together. This one was the very first, and later they went to work on like speculations around the like local history about like medieval times and like fairy tale narratives from Russia, but also like from other countries from the region. So here we have they're like dreamy and lovely paintings from early 90s. I decided to bring to you, but yes, this I really would like to underline how they were like creating together, not only like in a larger groups, but even like in a like making painting together in a couple. And this piece is really beautiful. I remember it from a time of being curator at Odessa Museum of Odessa. modern art. The original of this work is over there. It's such a crazy illustration of the myth they propose on the history of baptizing of Rus. Before baptizing, it was like a land of pagan land, and there were like many gods, and one of them were Perun, and of course, like in many other places, this baptizing, it was very painful in certain dimension, because it was like from the up to down. And yes, all these ancient gods, their statues were like fallen, thrown to the water and just destroyed. And we have this historical speculations and some also bit hallucinatory imagery that they propose sometimes. So yes, I really love. I would love to end up with Martinchiki group, because they're like really very fun, and this thing is their idea of building worlds with a plasticine, but also like going from this painting to the plasticine as trying to simplify their material and not to create something eternal, something that can stay, but to work with the simplest material. And they continued this practice even in late 90s. So we see that destinies and careers of the circle turned very in different directions. Somebody's continued, somebody's didn't, but by the end of the day, we have a phenomenon in Ukrainian contemporary art, and the very so the predecessors of the contemporary art there, and it's still not that well defined where is the line and how to divide adjacents from Moscow practices, because many opinions exist, and some of them are very radical, some of them are softer, and all this will be a discussion that I hope starts and will be larger one day. For a moment, that's very inspirational for me to think about these extremely young people who started their common practices because of curiosity to each other. And we have an amazing archive for a moment that soon will become a series of great exhibitions, I do believe. Thank you for your attention, and let's maybe discuss something around this topic. Maybe you have some questions, some commentaries. Please be free in that, absolutely.
Okay, thank you, Alexandra. I will start with some questions from my side, then maybe colleagues will continue. I'm wondering about the very term Odesa Conceptualism, Odesa Conceptual School, in relation to broader context of maybe Ukrainian conceptualism, because from time to time we may hear Odesa Conceptualism and Ukrainian conceptualism, and I do not clearly understand, do we speak about one phenomena, and Ukraine has the main center of conceptual art in Odesa, or it's different centers and networks? And then the second part of the question, how do you approach the figures like Vagrich Bakhchinyan, for instance, or Ilya Kabakov, or even Oleg Kulik, who have Ukrainian origin, but then spend a lot of time in Russia, Soviet Union, and Moscow. And in the US, do they part of this broader, I don't know, Ukrainian conceptual art or not, and whether it's important to discuss this issue maybe in relation to decolonizing of the position of Moscow as a kind of capital of the world, as Andrei Monastyrsky once wrote in his text, Vladimir is the capital of the world or not. So that's the question.
Thank you, Arseny, for the question. That's interesting. Like, what streams we have inside these questions of like how to mark things. Yeah. First, yeah. What do we mean when we say Odesa? What we mean under like Ukrainian conceptualism, and why we think so. Like, in my vision, when we mean Odessa, we do not mean like the center of conceptual practices in Ukraine. This for me doesn't work like that, because like conceptual vocabulary, yeah, or something that they called around this lands conceptual vocabulary, it was used in different cities across the country. It was present in Lviv, it was present in Kharkiv. Some things, yeah, were in Kyiv also, but they like, if to speak very general, some relations between text and images you use together were practiced in different cities here. And when we say, when we mean these artists that we see in a photo, yeah, for example, that's we can call them like Ukrainian conceptualists, of course, but they are like still very Odessa, because they worked there, they started there, they were like born in, like opening up themselves in this dimension in the city and together. So why not to go like more detailed? Why not to go to the concept of like polis, yeah? But not like the national concept, yeah. And when we mean when we mention such figures as Vagrich Bakhchenyan, yeah, for example, it's like in Ukrainian context now, he's very present. He's like part of this like Ukrainian artist, Vagrich Bakhchenyan. Why so? Also, the institutional interest played a decisive like role here, because because in Kharkiv, the like the local municipal gallery, etc., and the like state of the scene in this city, and of course the attitude of the family of the artist to his hometown, yeah, they really established a very like close relations. And also like for Vagrich, it was very important to talk with the Kharkiv itself, yeah, with the city he practiced for a number of years. And but when we talk about the figure of Kabakov, yes, the birthplace of Kabakov is in today's Ukraine, and more than that, what is interesting is that Kabakov, Ilya Emilia, interest in Ukrainian context is not that like publicly visible, but it exists. But from the side of Ukrainian institutions, it was no like a precedent for some things to be realized, yeah. And despite the grandeur, yeah, of the figure of Kabakov, these like relations are still not that understandable. Their perspectives cannot become like a real like embodiment of sort of like collaboration between the places, the country, and yeah, this great artist, it's still very abstract. So if to talk like directly, yeah, yes, like Kabakov was born in Ukraine, but we have now such a like huge wave of like stating real roots of artists, but somehow it doesn't touch this figure that much. Yeah, like that, and I think that yes, we can speak about like Ukrainian conceptualism, but or like the stage of conceptual art practices in Ukrainian art. Yeah, but it's very actually it's so art historian thing, and. Yes, in my vision, it's much more important to get more information about what it was and how it looked, and then maybe like different opinions of like new researchers or like fresh views will show up, and yes, because we now have like more like opinions of those who were like participants of the process or have like some personal relations with the subject or is driven by political views, yes, attempts to directly separate Odessa conceptual practices and all what about Moscow, that to me looks very blind. Yes, I guess the beautiful idea of like ancient polis promoted that actively by this circle is really became a fate of them also.
Thank you. And my second question is about current situation. And I'm wondering, maybe speak about some sort of influence of Odesa conceptualism or in general conceptual practices on younger generation of Ukrainian artists. Do they use conceptual approaches, for instance, for criticizing war and for criticizing one another, I don't know, circumstances of historical situation, or it's more heritage of the past, and we may deal with it more in a historical mode. What do you think about this?
I'm pretty sure it's still like the like methods and some like gestures of this Odesan group is still important, and for already like couple of generations. First, like artists of 90s, just was like observing them being teenagers, and of course it was like a matter of interest. Later, around 2000s, maybe it was like bit less of attention, but around 2010s and so on till today, I see like very interesting examples of references to certain works of the circle. I see that like direct relations of inheritance even sometimes happen. I do not mean like that like somebody is not independent, but more just like underlining your like circle of references, like younger artists in Ukraine do that, and even I see that today, like in Odessa, like very young people like less than 20 years, like starting to dig what was going on here in this beautiful city like before. And some information is a bit more available, at least in Ukrainian, and they found out these like small histories about this circle. it really becomes very inspirational for many, because you see the approach is playful, is and same time tricky and simple in execution. So in this way, I feel that it's still very nice, like example for like broader discussion on what could be done in a group, what could be done individually when you're like have time to experiment but have no that many like means or like visual experiences here also, because as that started with this inaccessibility of broader information, and sometimes also we lock ourselves in close feelings, and yes, this seductive relations between text and the image, of course, is something of like daily vocabulary, and also when like very young generation of Odesa like local artists like make these references. It's really very warm, and you see that yes, maybe not that many people are engaged in this type of knowledge, but it's still present, so it's still alive. Yeah.
Thank you, and maybe someone would like to ask something, and I will repeat the question. Mm-hmm. So there is a question regarding. Sorry?
We have a question. Great.
Yeah, we have. The first question is about the status of works now, like for example, this with a fabric by Paper Group, I guess. Are they in a collection, or I don't know, in museums? And I wanted to ask this question regarding the general institutionalization. How, since with this, is it already like part of the, I don't know, heritage of Ukrainian art history, or it's more like marginal, more experimental things until now?
Thank you a lot for this question, and I'm really happy that you're like curious with that. I didn't went that much to this direction, but it's very important question when we talk about Odesa, because when this art was like going on, of course there were no other methods of archiving than artist collection. And this exchange of works also with Moscow Circle, it really created more more cabinets where more like folders where this work still exist. So somehow the artist collection became a decisive like ultimate point for this phenomenon to be like kept in larger quantity, because like on a like public, what was going on in a dimension of public collections. When Odessans moved to Moscow, like certain attention of like West in the like mid 80s and then later to the perestroika was very present in Moscow, and like people from not from even directly from the culture, but also like diplomats and like some high rank workers who like could travel during the perestroika time to Moscow for their business. Yes, they were like curious with what going on in the like art scene here, and also had the like daily habit to buy art, especially if it's not that well priced. Yes, as you may imagine, how these artists sold their works and for which money. It was quite modest. So grateful to this like export. Yeah, also some pieces like were kept and moved even to a certain collection. Yeah, for example, we have now some of works from Leonid Wojcik, for example, in Ludwig. But we are still not 100% sure what was the like the research on that is not finished. Yeah, Northern Dutch collection in US. Yeah, especially like papers, group papers, and Anufi and many others also were like acquired there, but they like availability of the materials and like exchange between the like collection and researchers is not that well established yet, but we're like working on that, of course. But also there are many questions on the like state of the of works, especially objects. Yeah, as you saw in the case of Martinchiki, it was like plasticine, but it was like part of the concept. Yeah, so I just wanted this to be like very like body like, not a ceramic something internal, yeah, but plasticine, something that just can be burnt with the dust. But for, peppers, for example, they did a beautiful exhibition with how it's called, strokes, like pshenica. Yeah, stroke, I guess. So it's like organic material, and how could it be kept for so many years? Still a big question. In Ukraine, like acquisition of this type of art from private collectors somehow was going on around this Museum of Modern Art, but also it's a private museum, but it's still at least like museum institution. It was like some works was bought from like artists, something was bought from like collectors, but I guess yeah, this like presentation in a home city could be like maybe even larger, like it would be really nice for the city, and yeah, for younger generation of artists who still have interest to this. So what we have like in with a like heritage, yeah, it's not that well researched, so we still lack materials and in native language, like in Russian or Ukrainian, and of course in English. So this process is gone, but of course it's slow because it's not the like highest priority on Ukrainian agenda, and somehow also the state of like Odessa, Russian-speaking city, and very Russian-speaking art connected with Moscow. It's yes, it's maybe not the first row of research now. So this material also, like to me personally, like as for curator, this material has a lot in common with the practices that were going on around like Balkans, yeah, around even some like Mediterranean countries, and we have like beautiful examples of in-depth research in that geographies, but unluckily it haven't yet happened with Odessa. So like some public collection presence, and artist collections as a I guess despite its like individuality, the safest place in some dimension. But also, if we talk about like like separate artists, like about artists separately, yeah. For example, like Lederman, yeah, his works were acquired by Tate a couple of years ago, like, but his works from later period, from like end of.
I remember that Weizsäcker was in Centre Pompidou collection as a part of Ukrainian art.
Yes, of course, yeah. It's also like recent donation of Ukrainian collectors to Pompidou. Very discussable event in Ukrainian like context, because we would love to have like keep things here also, like not to export them now, because like we understand this like tendencies of early 90s, yeah, but wow, why to make it in 2020s is a bit under question. But and Weizsäcker and I guess Lederman also was part of this big donation to the Pompidou, and these works were recently exposed just in a frame of general like Ukrainian presence in Pompidou, but not like in depth as a research on the circle, on the like time period.
Meanwhile, I remember that in 2000 there was one piece by Percy at the collection of Moscow Tretiakov's gallery in the permanent collection. Nowadays, I'm quite sure that it's already out of display. But
yes, in Tretiakovsky gallery, Percy was a part of like collection, and also I remember this work, I guess, was shown also at PinchukArtCentre on during one of like artist intervention, again of the younger generation, and artists not from Odessa but from like different regions of Ukraine, decided to make this work one of their like referential points. In Russian public collection, I guess, and VAC something is present, no? Maybe, yeah.
I didn't hear well the last.
No? So like in Russian collection, of course, in public ones, some of their works are present, but it's this research was never like united in between geographies. So like we didn't have like a proper collaboration on institutional level from Ukraine to Odessa, but between professionals, between like librarians, etc. I know like beautiful stories of like sharing information and material.
Okay, thank you, colleagues. Other comments, questions? No. Okay, we may stop here. Alexandra, thank you very much. And maybe we may share with the colleagues our idea for instruction, because we will spend last hour or even less doing the final practical part of our course, which is about conceptual art practices and conceptualism. And Alexandra is prepared a special task for you.
Yes, like this idea appeared that we can try to make something like together, or I can make a proposal to you to think and maybe to try something. like after all this all this like hours of conceptual practices, and to depart to this like to this task, to this thinking that I would like to propose. Let's please take a look again on the work by Lederman that I like showed you just some minutes ago. This, if to face the south, the Moscow will be far behind. What would I like propose here? We see that here with his body and with a simple means of photography, artists somehow redefined the relations between like geographical directions, but also between like opposite structures. Yeah, so he used only the body to make this redefinition and to propose other vision on a certain situation. Yeah. We have of course an intensive work of landscape here. Yeah, this dramatic horizon and this like romanticism of the situation of a lonely figure like staring on a horizon. But yes, it's still the like different like landscape context could be used to cope with this like task idea that I propose. So my proposition is to you to try to follow the logic of this image and of this work, and to try to think about your own body as a tool for explaining certain relations that you are interested in. Yeah, it may be, of course, like from any type of knowledge that you prefer, or that is like your center of interest, but to connect such thing as a body, as a like the position of the body towards the landscape or the architecture, and yes, and all this like created around certain relations that you find meaningful for yourself. So it can be something in a freer, even absurd maybe frame, but also maybe you have a direct association that or maybe you're thinking about something like that, because in my vision it's also quite classical thing, yeah, and like whole like thinking of contemporary art today. So am I like understandable in this intention? Did you get me this idea?
I will clarify it more, but generally speaking, we would like you to get the logic and maybe methodology of the piece and try to somehow recreate or do your own proposal, maybe working directly with this piece, or maybe with certain relations with your geography, your history, maybe architecture. And we thought with Alexandra that it would be nice if you involved somehow the body, because it's quite, gestural work. However, it's a part of conceptual heritage. And we even discussed this kind of similarities in between, for instance, differentiation of West Coast and East Coast in US. Like East Coast was very cool, detached, and almost without bodies. And West Coast, like California, John Baldessari thinks it's more like body-oriented, more funny, more active. And here we have some sort of similarity in relation to Moscow, context and Odesa context, and Odesa context very body orientated. Alexandra mentioned this walking towards this relaxed atmosphere of the beach, etc., etc. And so we wanted you to somehow I don't know, feel this vibe of Odesa, but in your own vision. So that's the idea. Okay, if you need more clarification, we may discuss this later. Okay.
Also, you can make a photo. You can make it like with yourself, or like maybe to work with like in couple of you, if you would prefer to. So yeah, the frame is quite free, I guess.
Okay, Alexandra, one more time. Thank you very much, and see you soon, like in half an hour, maybe.
Thank you so much. Thank you, and see you soon, and lots of inspiration. That was a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you.
Ciao, ciao.
Ciao.